I'm Vapor with the No Solution, and today we're going to be looking at an invite system for your Discord bot. Let's jump right into the preview. We are going to first go ahead and do invites system configure. We'll just do invite system. So the invite tracker has now been set up. We can also delete an invite from a user. We can reset the invites from a user. We can list the invites of a user. We can see the leaderboard. We can see info. We can see create. So we can create a new invite. So we'll just first go ahead and get started with the list. So for me, I have 3 invites. The third one having one use, invite info. I'll just go ahead and try this out. This starts counting from the moment you set up the bot. We can do invites, create. We'll do 30 minutes and we'll say 5 users. You can see there's the invite. If we go over to invites, we can see that the invite has 0 out of 5 and it expires in 30 minutes. We can do invite system delete the code, which will then remove the code from existence. As you can see, it is no longer there. You can also do invite system reset, which will go ahead and reset my invite counter if I had any. So now I will hand the video over to Comet, who is going to show you the code.
Well, let's jump right into the code. Next up, we're going to go into the schemas and then create a new file called invite.js. First up, we're going to get schema and model from Mongoose. Next up, we're going to actually define the invite schema as a new schema. Define the guild ID as a type of string, and if it's required, the user ID as a string, the total invites as a number, the type is number, and the default is always going to be 0. The invite codes, which are basically the alphanumerical, I think 6 to 7 characters, I don't remember, that appear after the slash in a Discord invite. So it's like discord.gg/ and then that would be the code. So the code would be a string, and then uses would be number, and the default is always 0. And invited users, which will contain the user ID type string. If it's fake, type of boolean, true or false, default is false, and then left if the type of type boolean, which is also false. After that, we're going to export it, and that's going to be your invite.js schema. Next up, we're going to go into the schemas folder again and create something called inviteSetup.js. This is going to be another schema we're going to be using. First up, we're going to, as always, import schema and model from Mongoose. Next up, we're going to define const invite setup equals new schema. The guild ID is going to be of type string and true, and the channel ID is going to be also of type string and also required. And next up, we're going to module.exports equals model invite setup and invite setup. And that's going to be your second schema you'll be using for this feature. Next up, we're going to go to our events, guild member add, and then we're going to add the inviteTracker.js. First off, we're going to import embed builder from discord.js, the invite system schema from inviteSetup, and invite schema from the invite file in schemas. Next up, we're going to module.exports async client member arrow function as always, and then we're gonna define the const of setup data, which is going to be taken from the invite system schema .find1, and then we're gonna find the guild ID from the member.guild.id. Next, we're going to have an if statement that says that if this returns false or doesn't return anything, or if the setup data.channel ID also doesn't return anything, then just return, because there's nothing we can do here. If the member user is a bot, also return, because this will only count actual users and not just like bots like Carlbot, Sapphire, etc. Then we're going to say that the account age limit is 7. So there's a limit to the account age of like the number of days the account should be, which is 7. Next is going to be account age equals the new date minus member.user.create at, and then we're going to do this formula. Is fake is if the account age is less than the limit. So that means that any account that get invited and are younger than 7 days old, they will be considered as fake accounts. You can change this however you want. You can even just completely remove this, and if you want to count all invites no matter what, you can just remove this functionality. But this is sometimes a good thing, just so you have a way to differentiate between accounts that are recently created or accounts that have been on Discord for a while. Next up, we're going to fetch all the invites from the member in the guild, and we're going to find from the invite schema the invites. We're going to find the member.guild.id and as the guild ID, and find it from the invite schema, and then put it into invites. Next, we're going to say that used invite equals to null. For const invite of new invites.values, we're going to have a for loop that says const found equals invites.find i.inviteCodes sum code.code equal invite.code. Now that might be a bit confusing for some of you, but let's break it down from right to left. If the invite code if the invite code that's been used is actually equal to the code that this line finds, it's going to return true, which is going to return this i.inviteCodes.sum. So it's going to find it. If it does find it, then it stores it into this variable called found. And if found actually returns something, we're going to find the code again and call it dbcode. And if the invite.uses is greater than the db code that we found .uses, used invite equals invite. So the used invite is actually now tied to an invite that we found. And then we're going to break. Next up, if we go through all of this and then we get to this point, so if this is true, we're going to await the invite schema, and then we're going to find one and update. We're going to find it according to the member.guild.id, inviteCodes.code, used invite.code. So this means that it's going to find the specific invite and then update it with the used invite code. And then we're going to set the total invites to 1, the invite, and then we're going to set the invite codes $.uses to 1. So we have 1 total invite now, and the code that we used has 1 use. And we're going to push invite users, open your brackets, user ID, member ID, fake is fake, left false. So if the person is fake, it's going to say true or false. Left is still false, and then we're going to find the user by their user ID, which can be gotten from member.id. Then we're going to define the channel, member.guild.channels.cache. This is very normal. This is the standard way of getting the channel that you want in the specific server. If there is no channel, if this returns null, you just return, as it can't do anything. We're going to create a new embed. Set the color is fake. If it's fake, it's true, it's going to set it as red. If it's false, it's going to set it as green. Set the title as invite used. And we're going to set a description. You can set the description however whichever way you want, but this is the one we've went with. Member.user.username joined using this invite code. The account age is account age fixed to 2, just to basically fix the number to 2 decimal points. Days is fake, marked as fake due to account age being less than this much. That's if is fake is true. If not, it's just going to be an empty string. Then we're going to set the timestamp for it, and then we're going to send the embed to the channel. Next up, we're going to go down a folder, guild member remove, and add leftTracker. We're going to get the invite schema from invite in the schemas folder. We're going to module.exports async client member, as always. We're going to await invite schema.update1. It's going to take the guild ID from the member.guild.id, invite users.user.user.id. It's going to be taken from the member.id. And then we're going to set the invite users $.user.left to be true. And that's going to be that file. And then we're going to save and on to the next one. Next up, we're going to actually create a folder for events. And it's gonna be called invite create, and then inside it we're gonna add a new file called inviteCreationTracker.js. First of all, we're gonna import both the schemas we created earlier. We're gonna module.exports equals async client invite. Inside, we're going to take the code, the guild, and the inviter equal to the invite parameter that we passed. We're going to define inviteSetup.js to be from the invite system schema, and it's going to be found through the guild ID. If invite schema doc returns nothing, it's going to return. And then we're going to define another variable called invite doc, which is going to be taken from the invite schema, not the invite system. And it's going to take the user ID as the inviter.id and the guild ID from the guild. If invite doc returns something, it's going to generate, or we're going to define invite code equals the code that was used and the uses to be 0. We're going to await the invite schema and update the ID, and then push the invite code to the variable. Else, if it doesn't return anything, we're going to have invite doc to be a new invite schema, guild ID to be guild.id, user ID to be in the inviter.id, the total invites to be set to 0, and the invite codes to be an array that has code, and then the uses to be 0. And then invited users to be an empty array as well, and then we're going to save it. And then we're going to save it, and that's going to be your last event for the invite system. Next up, we're going to go into commands, admin, and then add an invitesystem.js. We're going to export or import /command builder, permission flags bits, channel type, embed builder from discord.js. We're going to be taking both of our invite system schema and invite schema from the 2 schemas we made earlier, and mconfig from messageconfig.json. Next up, we're gonna module.exports equals new /command builder as the data. We're gonna set the name as invite system. We're gonna set the description as whatever you want, an advanced invite system, for example. We're gonna add a subcommand. We're gonna name that as configure. We're gonna set the description for that as whatever you want. Again, configures the advanced invite system as an example. We're gonna add the channel option. We're gonna set the name as channel. Set the description as the channel to track invites in, for example. Again, so I don't have to repeat myself every time. The descriptions, the names, you can all change them however you want and name them whatever you want to be. We're gonna add channel types to be a guild text as channel type. We're gonna set that as required. Next up, we're gonna add another subcommand. We're gonna name that as delete. The description as delete an invite from a user, for example. Add a string option. We're gonna set the name as the code, the description as the invite code to delete, for example. We're gonna set that as required. And we're going to add a third subcommand. Set the name as reset. Resets the invites from a user as the description. We're going to add a user option. Set the name as user. Set the description the user to reset their invites, for example. Set the required to be true. And then we're going to 2JSON this, and then don't forget to always add a comma to end this part off. Next up, we're going to be defining the user permissions to be managed guild, and the bot permissions to also be managed guild. So both the user who's running this command or these commands, because there's subcommands, and the bot, which is going to be the bot you're coding currently, will both need to have this permission. And then we're going to run async client interaction, open your brackets, after an arrow function. We're going to be taking guild ID, and options from the interaction. We're going to define the subcommand as options.getSubcommand, which are these. So this line right here will get which subcommand you ran. And then member from options.getMemberUser, because some of them do have user, such as, where was it? Reset. Reset does have user. The code from this one, and we're going to define a setup data from the invite system schema, and we're going to find one using the guild ID that we get from the interaction. We're going to create a new embed, and if the subcommand is not equal to configure and setup data doesn't return anything, the R embed is going to set the color to the mconfig embed color error. Going to set the description as the system is not yet set up. Use invites configure to configure it, for example. And then we're going to return interaction.reply, and then we're going to turn the embed that we just created as the reply, and we're going to set it as ephemeral. Next up, we're going to have a try, which within it is going to have a switch, and the parameter is going to be the subcommand. For the first case, we have configure. So if the command they chose is configure, it's going to take the channel from the get channel options. If setup data does return something, we're going to await the invite system schema to find one and update. We're going to take the guild ID and the channel ID as parameters, and then we're going to return that the invite tracker has been changed. Invites will now be tracked in this channel, and then ephemeral true. However, if this doesn't return anything, that means we don't have a channel already set. So it's going to do a new invite schema that takes the guild ID and channel ID. We're going to save it, and then we're going to return the interaction that now it's been set up, and the invites will now be tracked in channel ID. This right here is going to just mention the channel, and it's going to tell us what the channel is. It's not going to actually just send the channel ID. And then we're going to set as ephemeral to be true. In case the command was delete, we're going to take guild.invites.fetch the code, and then we're going to store it in the invite variable. We're going to just invite.delete. Our embed, we're going to create a new one. We're going to set the color as success. We're going to title it, for example, code removed. We're going to set the description as, for example, the invite code, this code has been removed or deleted. And then we're going to send that embed as for the interaction.reply, and then we're going to set the ephemeral to be true. And then we're going to break. And actually, I just noticed that there is no break right here. Unless no, there's no break. So we're going to have to add that in here. Otherwise, once it does this, it's going to go through all of this as well. Okay, I was silent for the editors so they can edit this correctly. Why is there no break? I guess the return is fine. All right, I'm gonna continue in 3, 2, 1. In case the command was reset. Oh, okay, cool. In case the command was reset, we're going to await the invite schema, update 1, and then we're going to take guild ID and member ID. We're going to set the total invites to 0 and the invited users as an empty array. We're going to upsert to be true. the R embed is going to set the color as this. I think if I remember correctly, this is just white. Set the title to invites reset. Set the description as the invite count for member, and then the member has been reset. I'm gonna set the timestamp, and then we're gonna throw the embed into the interaction reply, and then we're gonna set the ephemeral to be true, and then we're gonna break. After the try, we're gonna have a catch error. We're gonna console log error. And then we're gonna console log error just to see, and just in case something bad happens while we run these commands. Next up, we're gonna go to general, and then we're gonna add another file called invites. We're going to be importing / command builder, permission flags bits, embed builder from discord.js, our two schemas, and button pagination from the utils, and mconfig from the messageconfig.json. Then we're going to acquire ms from ms, and a module.exports, a new / command builder, set the name as invites, set the description as anything you want, add a subcommand, set name to be info, set the description as displays the invites info of a user, add a user option to this subcommand. We're going to set the name to user, description as the user to view their invites, and then that's going to be our first subcommand called invites info. Now we're going to have another subcommand called invites list, displays the invites list of a user. We're going to add a user option, set the name as user, set the description as the user to view their invites. We're going to add a third subcommand called leaderboard, so invites leaderboard. Set the description as displays the invites leaderboard of the server, for example. And then we're going to add a fourth subcommand called invitesCreate, creates a new invite, add a string option, set the time, add the description. Set the name as time, set the description as invite duration in minutes, hours, days, example 30 minutes, 6 hours, or 3 days. Add a number option, number of uses for the invite, and then we're going to 2JSON this. And then we're going to have user permissions empty, but the bot permissions will be permission flag, manage guild, and create instant invite. And then we're going to run this, run async client interaction as always. We're going to take guild ID and options from the interaction. We're going to get the subcommand from the options.get subcommand. We're going to get the member from get member to user from the options that we have here. And the uses, same thing, but get number instead. The code time as get string, so time, or it's going to be 0. Const all guild invites will be the invites in all of the server, so we're going to do await invites.fetch. We're going to let setup data be a invite schema that does the find one function and uses the guild ID as a parameter. We're going to create a new embed. If the subcommand is not equal to setup and setup data doesn't return anything, we're going to create a new embed called, actually embeds don't have names. We're going to set the color for the embed as the error color. The system is not set up yet. Use inviteSetup to configure it. And then we're going to put that embed into the interaction reply and set the ephemeral to be true. Next, we're going to have a try catch, which that uses subcommand as the parameter. In case the command is info, we're going to say const user equals member !user or interaction.member.user. User ID is user.id. Let invites, and this user.id was gotten here. Wow. Yeah, this user.id was here. Let invites equals await schema.find1. We're going to use the user ID we just got and the guild ID to find in the invite schema the invites. We're going to put that into the invites variable, and then we're going to define total invites, fake invites, left invites, and regular invites. If invites doesn't return anything, total invites equals fake invites, all of these ones that we just created equals to 0. Else, total invites equals invites.total invites, fake invites equals the invited users, we're going to filter out the fake ones, and then we're going to take the length of that, and the length is going to be the number of fake invites we have. The left invite is going to be the same thing. We're going to filter out the users who left and then use the length of that. Regular invites is going to be this, the total ones, minus these two, and that would equal the regular ones. We're going to do a new embed, set the color as white, for example, set the title as user.username, and then set the description as if member is true, user.username currently has. If it's false, you currently. And then it's going to say total invites, for example, total invites. Regular invites, the variable, to regular. Left invites left, and fake invites fake. We're going to set the footer text to be client.user.username, the icon URL to be client.user display avatar URL to be and the dynamic is true. We're going to await interaction.reply embeds our embed. So this one is going to be put into the interaction, and then we're going to break. In case the command is a list, total invites equals all guild invites.filter, and then we're going to filter the invites that we get from the guild or the server to be equal to the inviter ID. So the inviter ID has to equal to the member ID or the interaction.user.id. So that's how we're going to filter out the invites that we want to get from all the invites that have been created in the server. Filtered invites is going to be an array that's taken from that takes the values from the total invites and then filters invite. Again, we're going to filter again. Invite.inviterID should be equal to the member.id, or the inviter ID can be equal to the interaction.user.id. And if the filter invites is equal to 0, so that means there's no filtered invites that we got. We're going to make a new embed. It's going to set the color as the error color. It's going to say that the member or member.user.username has or oh wait, I messed up. 3, 2, 1. It's going to say member.user.name has or you have, depending on if this is true or not, have no invite codes. And then we're going to return this embed into the interaction.reply. And I'm going to set this as ephemeral as well. Next, we're going to define an array of pages. We're going to let the page be 0. The page should be less than math.co filtered invites.length divided by 10, and then page plus plus. Page invites equals filter invites.slice page times 10, comma page plus 1 times 10. And then we're going to have fields. First one is going to be code. The value is going to be page invites.map, and then we're going to take invite as a parameter, and then we're going to set the text to be invite.code, and then we're going to break and then join and then just an empty string, and then we're going to inline it to be true. Next, we're going to have another field which is going to be uses. The value of the field is going to be page invites.map, same thing, but instead of invite.code, it's going to be invite.uses. We're going to inline it to be true, and then we're going to define a page embed to be a new embed builder. So page embed is going to be an actual embed. I'm going to set the color to white, for example. Set the title to invites page dash page, and then the length. Set field to be the fields we just made. And set the description as if member is true, member.user.username currently has, or you currently have, and then filtered invites.length, total invite codes. So the filtered invites that we got, we're going to use the length of it, and then total invite codes. We're going to set the footer. We're going to say that the text of the footer is going to be requested by interaction.user.username, so we know who actually ran the command if you want. The icon URL is going to be interaction.user.displayAvatarURL, and we're going to set that to be true as the dynamic. Pages.push, page embed is going to be next, and then we're going to await button pagination to be the interaction and then the pages, and then we're going to break. In case the command was leaderboard, we're going to get all member data from this invite schema, which uses the guild ID. We're going to define member uses to be from guild.members.cache, and it's going to filter it. It's going to use member as long as the member.user the member is not a bot. It's going to map the member. Const member data is going to be all member data.find data. The data.user ID has to be equal to the member.id, and then we're going to return member, the member data for total invites, and if this is true, it's going to return the total invites. If it's false, it's going to return 0. Member uses is going to be sorted from b.totalinvites minus a.totalinvites, and I'm going to do another array of pages. Page size is going to be 10, and then we're going to have another for loop. Let page equals 0. Page is going to be less than math.co member uses.length divide by page size, and then page plus plus. The page uses will be member uses.size page times page size, comma page plus 1 times page size. Const fields is going to equal name member, first field. It's gonna the value of it is going to be page uses.map invite, and then the invite.member is going to be inlined. The second one is going to be total invites, which is going to be invite.totalinvites, same thing as before, just change the variable. And we're going to inline it as well. Const embed page is going to be a new embed builder. We're going to set fields to be the fields. We're going to set the color to be white. We're going to set the title to be invite leaderboard, and then it's going to show the page as well. Set footer. Text is going to be requested by interaction.user.username. The icon URL is going to be interaction.user.displayAvatarURL. We're going to set the dynamic to be true, basically the same thing as before. The pages, we're going to push them. We're going to push the embed page to the pages and close that off. And then we're going to await button pagination, interaction, and pages. And then we're going to break. In case the command is create, we're going to set max age seconds to be the minimum of code time, divide by 1,000, and then comma 604,800. We're gonna const invite options to be an ellipsis, max age seconds, and max age to be max age seconds. The uses and max uses to be uses. Then const invite is going to await the guild.invites.create, which is going to take the interaction.channel ID and the invite options. We're going to create a new embed, set the color to whatever you want, set the title to whatever you want, set the description to whatever you want, but these are examples you can use yourself. Await interaction.reply, we're going to use this embed in the interaction reply, and then set the ephemeral to be true, and then we're going to break. And then we're going to catch the error just in case. We're going to console log it. We're going to console log it, and that is going to be your invite command. However, it's saying that we have 2 errors. So, yes. The const, always make sure there's no errors. There we go. So, the only error we had was here. It was missing a const. The C was missing, so we had to just add it, and we can save, and that is the feature. If you guys liked that video or the suggestion, then make sure to join the Discord to throw in more suggestions for features for us to create. And this has been Comet from the North Solution, and I hope you have a great day.